I want to quickly talk to you about how to get approved for a Navy Federal Credit Union credit card with bad or fair credit. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation. I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome City Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you are to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to speak to you about how to get approved for a Navy Fed credit union credit card, even if you have bad or fair credit. It's very important to understand that Navy Fed has a constellation of credit cards that appeal to every kind of applicant. Whether you have a poor credit, bad credit, fair credit, good credit, or excellent credit, you can still qualify. The thing here is that a lot of people believe that you got to have excellent or extraordinary credit to qualify for a Navy Fed credit card. No, the thing is there is a way to play the game, and I'm going to show you in today's conversation how to play that game. It's important though to understand that when we speak about Navy Fed, yes, the higher your score, the better. In other words, you can be in the very poor category, 300 to 579, or in the fair category, 580 to 669. Of course, I'm speaking about a FICO range here. So if you are in the good, 670 to 739, in the very good, 740 to 799, or in the exceptional range, 800 to 850, your chances will actually shoot up in terms of being approved for that. However, there are ways to play the game once again. One thing you need to understand is that it's a lot better with Navy Fed to seek pre-qualification and pre-approval first. All right, so don't just apply for the card on the internet. This is not going to help you. The best strategy, the wisest route here will be to apply at a branch. Okay, and before that, you want to speak with someone on the phone, and you want to go to a branch. If there is a nearest branch around you, and you want to sit with someone and actually discuss your your credit card rather, your credit card application and your credit card approval odds. Okay, in any matter, in any way, it's important to know that your application will include things like full name, your date of birth. Of course, they want to see your social security number. If you have a small gig on the side, if you're looking for a business credit card, for example, they might want to have your EIN, your employer identification number, your contact information, your financial information such as income. They might want to see your bank statements, for example, your employment information, including how long you've been at your current job, and your housing status and cost. So first thing first, one thing that's important to understand is that you also need to think about eligibility. So when we think about Navy Federal Credit Union, you got to think about eligibility because you need to qualify for that. One thing I want to say here is that everybody believes that you need to have some kind of a military affiliation to qualify for a Navy Fed credit card or Navy Fed credit card. No. We're showing you right now there is a link on the screen that you can actually peruse, and that will tell you everything about eligibility for when you are thinking about a credit card from Navy Fed. You can even call their 24/7 member services at 1-888-842-6328. There you'll get a lot of information. One thing I want to say clear here again is that for anyone living in the United States and being 18 years of age and having a social or being being either a citizen or a green card holder, you can qualify you can qualify for a Navy Fed personal credit card. Okay, if you don't have any military affiliation, there are ways to qualify. You might actually have to make a donation, a small donation to a charity that is sponsored by Navy Fed. So either way, you want to call that number I just gave you, 1-888-842-6328 to get more information. One thing you need to understand is that, of course, you need to apply based on your credit score. You may not qualify for the larger limits, but that's fine. Your goal is to have a foot in the door, right? Even if you get a 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, you want to start somewhere and grow from there, okay? And once you get the card, please understand that you want to use your credit card responsibly. What we've seen in our research is that if you have, let's say, if you have a Navy Fed account, whether it is a checking account or savings account, they already have you in the database. And what will happen here is that they will see your transactional history, they will see your spending patterns because they have algorithms that monitor all of these things. And NavyFed is a giant in the financial services industry. I'm not even talking about credit union only, just in general. They are a giant, well-managed company. So they do have algorithmic processes in place that analyze consumers, clients' transactions. So if they see a good spending pattern on your side, even if you have bad or poor credit, they might actually invite you for a pre-qualification, and that's what you want. And you get this in the mail, and once you're in, you can go from there. Okay, this is important. So please keep improving your credit. So the first thing you need to do, if you want to get approved for a NavyFed credit card with a bad or fair credit, we want to go back to what we call the card typology. You want to understand the various types of card that this issuer has, okay? And NavyFed has, they don't have a lot of cards, they don't have gazillions of cards, right? Because they're not a financial services company. They're meant to help their members. And so they do have about 6 of them. So we're going to go through each of them. So first you have Navy Federal Credit Union, More Rewards American Express credit card. And this card is our pick for everyday spending, okay? And the thing here is that here they want you to have a recommended credit score that goes from 630 to 850. But in reality, they will look for credit scores as low as 600, sometimes 590 to 850. So this is something you need to think about. This is a card that gives you a lot of rewards, okay? Then we have Navy Fed Credit Union Cash Rewards credit card. And this is actually our pick for a flat rate cashback. And here again, the credit score will, the requirements will range from 590 to 630 all the way to 850. And this is kind of cool. Also, this is a card that allows you to earn a solid, straightforward 1.5% cashback on your purchases and redeem rewards as soon as you earn them. Fantastic. You can earn them as a statement credit, or you can get the money in your NavyFed bank account. And you also have the NavyFed Credit Union Visa Signature Flagship Rewards credit card. Kind of mouthful, right? But this is our pick for a travel card. So if you are in that category, that's kind of cool. Here, the credit score is a little high. They want you to go from 600 all the way to 850, even though the average, the people who have this card, they average 690 to 850, okay? And you also have the NavyFed Credit Union Platinum credit card. Here, they really want you to have good to excellent credit, 690 to 850. And this is our pick for a low interest. So this is the kind of card you want to work for. You actually want to work hard to get to that level. This is pretty good. And then you also have the NavyFed Credit Union and Rewards Secure Credit Card. So this is actually our pick for poor credit. I would say you want to start here. You never know, but the credit score requirements here range from 300 to 689. So poor to average. So now let's talk about the low-hanging fruit. So if your goal is to get approved for a NavyFed Credit Union credit card with fair or with the low or fair credit, you want to start with the low-hanging fruit. Which card is easier for you? Fair credit, good credit, business credit card. NavyFed has a constellation of credit cards. I would say you need to go through all the cards. And you want to see which one you may qualify for based on a bevy of factors, right? And again, everything has to tie back to your personal situation, to your family situation, to your employment. Okay. Of course, remember though, you gotta have membership. So this is not even something we have to talk. You gotta have membership first. You gotta have a checking account, and we recommend that you have a checking account and a savings account. If you have poor or fair credit, you want to start with the Navy Federal Credit Union and Rewards Secure Credit Card. Don't worry about it. People might say, well, this is a secure credit card. Listen, you got to start somewhere, right? And NavyFed is really good at upgrading their card holders very quickly. So within 3 to 6 months, you probably will be upgraded to something better. So you better start somewhere, because that card is really the low-hanging fruit here. Okay, and you also want to see which one. If you don't want to go with a NavyFed Credit Union and Rewards Secure Credit Card, you might actually look for other credit cards based on the rewards you're looking for. Remember what I said about your lifestyle, right? Your family's lifestyle. based on travel options. If you love to travel and you want to get 3x points on travel, for example, you want to go for the Navy Fed Credit Union Visa Signature Flagship Rewards Credit Card. Okay, and what about seeing which credit card you qualify for based on Navy Fed Small Business? Okay, you have a lot of cards also that you can qualify for here. Okay, and one thing I also want to say here is that a card that is that's very good and very easy to apply for is the Navy Fed Credit Union More Rewards American Express credit card. Okay, here the FICO ranges from 600, 590 to 850, and in some cases 630 to 850. This is a card that is that's affordable. Okay, and this is our pick, as I said earlier, for everyday spending. Okay, so this is a great card to think about. The third thing I want you to think about, if you want to get approved for a Navy Federal Credit Union credit card with fair or low credit, is to set the foundation. So we constantly talk about setting the foundation. What do we mean by that? We mean that you need to do the legwork that will help you. Get into a zone, get into a credit card range that will improve your odds of approval. And improving your credit score is quintessential. Actually, this is a fulcrum of a great strategy when it comes to getting approved for a Navy Fed Credit Union credit card. So you want to improve your credit score. So when we talk about improving your credit score, we just means that you need to know exactly the 5 elements, the quintuple elements that make up a credit score. Of course, when we talk about credit score in general, we speak about FICO, even though we also have the Vantage score, and the Vantage score is it's not really different from the FICO. So yeah, so there are 5 quintessential elements you need to know that make up your credit score. So you have your payment history that accounts for 35%, the amounts owed, aka your outstanding debt, 30%, the length of your credit history, 15%, the credit mix that you have, 10%, and then new credit that you have, this is also 10%. So having an idea of what makes up your credit score can help you actually impact the score that you have. You also want to remove derogatory items, adverse elements on your credit score. I'm speaking about everything from repos to charge-offs to collections. Of course, if the item is legitimate, they're going to keep it in there. But if you believe that this is you're a victim of identity theft, for example, or there has been a mistake, then you want to find it, and you can do it yourself if you have time and you have some knack for writing pretty precise dispute letters, or you can actually just outsource the whole thing. There are credit repair companies out there that will charge you a monthly fee and work on your behalf. You even have nonprofits that do it for free. We have covered this topics on other shows. And you also want to apply with a co-signer or co-borrower, for example, right? The whole idea is to get in the game. You want to get a foot in the door, right? That's what you want, really. And you can also become an authorized user if possible. So everything is fair game. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation about how to get approved for a Navy Fed credit card without stellar credit. In other words, if you have bad or fair credit, you can still qualify. And I'm teaching you in today's show how to do it. Now let's talk about credit score matters. Credit score does matter a lot, and I'm not just talking about the fact that you'll get a foot in the door at Navy Fed if you have good credit, but in general, and here we're not just talking about Navy Fed loans and credit cards, but we're talking in general that credit score matters. And this is why I want to go back to what I said earlier. If there is a mistake or you believe you are a victim of identity theft, you want to clear things up ASAP. This is very important. And the first thing you need to do is to check your credit score. Every year, you have the right, under a law that was passed by Congress a long time ago, to actually get a free credit report from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. There is a website that that is called annualcreditreport.com that allows you to see that. You just have to go there and put in your information, and voila, you're in. So it's kind of important. One thing I also want to say here is that if you have to understand how credit scores work. And this is why you have to have an idea of your credit score at all time. At least once a month or once every 3 months, you need to have that. You need to have that sort of visual into your credit score. And you can grow your credit with good habits. Okay. The thing here is that if you pay your bills on time, later on that will help you actually get approved for an FICO credit union credit card. Right. Use your accounts, your existing credit accounts lightly. Don't overcharge things. You want to pay balances in full. And the whole thing here is that it's always great to have a card already with Navy Fed. You can start, as I said, you can start with the secured credit card from them and get approved and get promoted very quickly, right? Because we all know that FICOs and Vantage scores are on a 300 to 850 scale, right? So even if you move 10 points once a month or 15 points or 20 points, guess what? It all adds up. It all adds up. If you start at 500, for example, and you add in 20 to 30 points every month, within 5 months, you would have made it to 600. Within 9 months, you would have made it to 650 or 700. I mean, my math is not really that good, but yeah, I mean, 6 months, 20 times 6, that's 120, and 30 times 6, that's 180. So you would have moved from 500 to 680 in 6 months, and that's fantastic. Let's talk about relationship matters. Now, as with all kinds of credit unions out there, relationship is quintessential, folks. If your goal is to get approved for a Navy Fed credit union credit card with fair or average credit, you got to build a relationship. And I'm not even talking to you about just calling them on the phone and having a nice conversation. No, if you are around a Navy Fed branch, you want to go to the branch. If you don't live in an area where there is a branch, that's okay, because they cover the whole nation, the 50 states. But you want to call them. You want to have something called an account representative. This is why you need to really familiarize yourself with them, and they need to know you also. So Navy Fed has a constellation of services and products that they offer, and your goal is to get at least one or two of those. So you can see, for example, they have checking and debit. They also have savings accounts. They have certificates of deposit. They have money market savings accounts. They have retirement savings accounts. They have retirement savings options rather. They have education savings. They have prepaid and gift cards. And they even have investments. So my point is that there are tons of other services that Navy Fed offers. So you want to go through their list of services, and you want to find the ones that apply to your personal situation or to your business if you have one. Okay. So the main goal here, again, folks, is to build a relationship. Because especially if you have fair or bad credit, you need to build a relationship. That's how they will know exactly. They will have a whole picture of your financial situation. So if you don't have that relationship, let's say if you only have a checking account with them, their incentive of granting you the loan, the credit card you want, might be little. But let's say you have not only a checking account, but also a savings account, but also a CD with them, also a money market account, but also a retirement savings. Guess what? They have a lot of business with you. They're making money off of you. So their goal is to keep you as a client. Okay, so this is really the kind of calculus you need to have if you want to win in the long run with a Navy Fed credit union credit card, regardless of your credit score. And now, in closing here, I want to say one thing, that it's very important if you want to get approved for a Navy Fed credit union credit card. You want to check your free credit score. I've said that before, but what I'm trying to say here is that you need to do this regularly. Even if you get approved for a credit union credit card, you still want to check your free credit score. It has to become routine. It has to become part of the strategy you have in place to reach a great a life of financial stability, really. And I also want to say that, listen, you got to pay your bills on time, because simply because you got approved for a Navy Fed credit union credit card doesn't mean that you are going to keep the account. If they see a pattern of adverse or a pattern of bad credit usage, they might close the account, or they might actually just keep your limit very tight, or they might even downgrade your account, your credit card account, to a secured card if you are already in an unsecured card category. And constantly pay down your debts. Okay. And one thing we have seen, and that works a lot for existing Navy Fed credit union credit card holders, is to avoid new hard inquiries. Okay, so you got to be very careful, especially people who are entrepreneurs and they have a sole proprietorship, and they also have an EIN. They want to apply for EIN credit cards, and they go and they just get a hard pull. You want to avoid that. So there is one way to do this. You can, if you there are actually two ways to do this. You either can get pre-qualified for the card that you want. So you get an email, or you get a letter in the mail that tells you, hey, lucky you are pre-qualified. So in that case, you apply, because when you're pre-qualified, when you apply, they just do a soft pull. You only get a hard pull when you decide that you love the offer and you believe that this is something you can live with. Then you go ahead, so that's one way. The other way is to actually have you can freeze your credit score. You can freeze it and unfreeze it. So if you want to apply for cars and they're telling you, hey, we're not going to check your credit score, and you don't believe them for some reason, you can freeze your credit score. That way, if there is anyone attempting to check your credit score, they will get you will get a notification. Okay, so, and that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do, just to close here, is you can actually get help building credit by becoming an authorized user on someone else's account. You can work with a co-signer who has good credit, or you can open, again, a secured credit card account. All right, folks, this was it for today's conversation. I was talking to you about how to get approved for a Navy Federal Credit Union credit card with bad or fair credit. And I spoke to you about, I gave you a synopsis of the company, the different kinds of cards that we have, the card typology, the low-hanging fruit you should go for, setting the foundation, credit score matters, relationship matters, and I gave you an addendum. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.